Hi everyone, welcome to my Everything I Knit in 2023 video. Here's all my finished objects. So this is my very first year of knitting. I've never really knit before. Prior to this, I did a little bit of crocheting, and when I was a kid, I did a lot of friendship bracelets. I did knit a tiny bit when I was like 10 or something like that, but nothing to this extent, and I think I was just knitting like, I don't know, not even a scarf. I can't even call it a scarf. I was probably just knitting, I don't know, swatches or something. So I don't even count that as knitting. I really had to relearn how to knit this year, and this all started beginning of this year in January when I bought a few kits from We Are Knitters. The funny thing about that is those kits are still not done. For some reason, I just can't get myself to finish the first projects that I learned how to knit with. And I don't know why. Maybe some of you guys can relate or tell me why, but I bought a Pea Cardigan from We Are Knitters. I also bought one of the Midnight Cardigan kits, but those two are still just whips. Actually, Midnight Cardigan I haven't even started, and the Pea Cardigan is just like nowhere near like a cardigan. And the very first thing I tried to knit was actually a throw, because I figured it'd be easy for me to practice my knits and purls, but that project also isn't done. So I don't know, guys, like I don't know why I can't finish my very beginner projects. Anyway, let's get started and I will share with you guys the very first project I've ever finished. The first one I finished is this camisole number 5, and I am in love with it. This was very popular in the beginning of the year. I saw everybody knitting it and I was like, I need that, I can totally see myself wearing it, so I need to make it. It was challenging. I started this 3 times. Reason being, I was so new to knitting to a point where I was twisting all my knits and I didn't understand that the right leg needs to be in front and the left leg needs to be in the back when you have the yarn over your needle. When you knit, you have to kind of pick up the yarn, but I was picking it up the other way, so as a result, I was twisting on my knits, and I didn't even know what I was doing wrong until I was looking at it and I was comparing it with other people's photos, and I noticed that my cami looks super different. So I was like, okay, there's something wrong with the way I'm knitting, and then I went into a deep dive of the anatomy of knits and purls and how it should look and why mine look different. I think I spent like so long, like 1 or 2 weeks, just trying to understand how knits and purls should behave and how they should look. But with that, I learned so much from this project, and I learned how to correct my knits and correct my purls, and yeah, this was just such a great learning experience for me. So this is actually my second or third attempt, because my first attempt was just completely twisted and it did not look good at all, so I frogged it all, reused the yarn, and created this. So I keep this little tin can of all the yarns I've used for my projects, and I try to keep like a little bit of the yarn on here so that I can reference it back in the future. This was when I didn't know where to buy yarn and I didn't know what fibers to use. So I bought this yarn from Michael's. It's loops and thread Woolike, and I bought it because it was just so soft and it felt so nice, and I really like the color. It's like a cream color. So I decided to purchase this to make the cami, and I didn't even use up the whole ball of yarn. Like, I think I used maybe 3/4. I'm somebody who's really sensitive to itch, but this one's not itchy at all. Like, I think I can make a whole long sleeve shirt with this yarn and I wouldn't feel any type of sensitivity to it. I don't like mohair, that doesn't work for me, and the heavy merino doesn't work for me either. So when I finished this project, I noticed that my stitches aren't very clean, and I wasn't sure it was because I was a beginner or if it was the yarn that I used. If you see up here closely, it doesn't look as satisfyingly clean as some of the other people who I've seen on Ravelry, and I kind of told myself that maybe it's the yarn, because this type of yarn isn't very I don't know how to explain it, but it doesn't really hold its shape. So I decided to make another cami number 5, and that would be this one right here. This is the second cami number 5 that I made. I also really love this one. This one is like significantly heavier than this one just due to the yarn I used. This yarn is actually from Sandnes Garn. I apologize if I'm saying it wrong, but it's from Sandnes Garn. It's the Babyull line, which is their baby yarn line. And obviously I didn't know that going in. I was just looking for yarn that would not bother me. Like, I just wanted any type of yarn that would not itch me, and this one felt okay. It's not the best, but it felt okay. The color is gorgeous. It's like a sea green, maybe? Sea green color. I decided to reknit the Cami number 5 because I really like this pattern, but I really wanted to try it so that maybe I could use a yarn that would give me more neat stitches. And I think this kind of worked actually. So if I show you my stitches, it's just funny because different yarn gives such different results. And I mean, that sounds very obvious, but when I was first starting off, like, I didn't really know anything. Oh, and another thing is I never gauge swatched. Like, no, I didn't even know what gauge swatching was, okay? And at that point, I was so slow at knitting that I didn't want to spend time doing the gauge swatch, and I didn't understand how important the gauge swatch was. But yeah, anyway, so these two never gauge swatched, but I'm very lucky because this ended up being perfect. I love it so much. The only thing that I would actually change about these two is the length. I think it was meant to be cropped, but this is already longer than they had suggested. But I think for me, I never really wear cropped shirts, so this is just too high. Like, it ends too high for me. Luckily, I do wear a lot of high-waisted pants, so this kind of works out. But if I had the option to redo it, I would definitely knit this longer. And I still have yarn for this. I could, you know, take out the tubular bind off and continue, but that just seems like too much work. I almost feel like knitting a whole new Cami number 5 would be easier than me removing the tubular bind off and adding length to it. Does anybody relate to that? Like, I just don't like going in to redo my projects. But yeah, so there's that, and I will show you the yarn for this. This is the yarn I use from Sandnes Garn, and this is kind of what it looks like, and this is the color. Yeah, really like this yarn, and I actually bought some more after this to use for other projects. So this one I finished around February, and this one I finished around March. And next, this is my Cumulus blouse. I love it. It's from Petite Knit. I tend to follow like Petite Knit and My Favorite Things Knitwear pretty closely, but I don't know, like, I'm a new knitter and their stuff just looks so nice. And on Ravelry, everybody has such beautiful projects. It really makes me want to knit it, you know? But my main issue with it is that it's all mohair, and I hate mohair. I hate itch. I have worn this without an undershirt before, maybe like once or twice. I will admit, after a couple hours, you don't really notice it. Like, at the end of the day, you don't notice the itch. But the first like hour or two, it's just torturous, and I don't know if I can continue to get myself to do that. And especially in like the springtime when it gets warm, like above 15 degrees, the itch is just so much more prominent, and I cannot, you guys. I've been wearing this in the wintertime with a turtleneck so that nothing touches my skin directly, and even then it itches my skin. I think I might remake this pattern with Suri alpaca because I don't know if I can wear this against my skin, and I like the look of it more when I don't have to wear an undershirt, but I just don't know if I can physically endure it. So it's just very unfortunate, but it's okay. I am obsessed with this color. This is all Knitting for Olive mohair, but if I show you closely, you can kind of see that there's a darker purple and a lighter purple. The lighter purple yarn is Dusty Violet, and the darker purple is actually dark blue. So I don't know if I should be calling it purple or blue, but to me, this looks purple. This is the ball of yarn that I used for this project, and I actually used the yarn winder to wind both of them together. I don't actually have the separate balls, and I used about 8 balls of yarn for this. 4 of each color. I know if you're using the same color, you can easily use just 7. Oh, and I made a small. So if I use a pattern that's from Petite Knit or My Favorite Things Knitwear, I always knit a small. And this is the yarn that I use for this project. As you can see, this is the Dusty Violet, and that's the dark blue. Hopefully you can kind of see what I'm talking about. It's such a pretty yarn. I am obsessed with this color combination. This is my first time using like a dark color and a light color together. I mean, this is my third project. What am I saying? I haven't done anything like this before. Like, this is my first time holding two yarn together. So yeah, I was just so obsessed with the color combination, and I was so proud of myself for choosing that. So yeah, I have no complaints about the pattern. Like, I knitted it exactly to the pattern. I didn't make any changes at all, and no complaints. Like, I love it so much. I knit this while I was on my trip to Hong Kong, Japan, and Singapore. I just brought it with me to knit on the train and the plane and stuff like that. Super easy knit because it's stockinette like all the way down. It was my first time doing I-cord, bind off. Not hard at all, honestly. Like, I found all the concepts that I've learned like maybe challenging for like the first 2 stitches, and then afterwards I was like, okay, I think I can do it. Like, this isn't too bad. But yeah, I think the fit of this is gorgeous. It looks so nice, and I think it would fit everyone. I love this one so much. Like, I can't. Again, one of my most worn knits ever. I wear this all the time, especially when I go to work and it's cold, because it keeps you really warm. But yeah, I always wear an undershirt, which, you know, it is what it is. I finished this one in about April. Super proud of this one. I love it. And I forgot to add this to the pile just now. I am going in the order of when I finished my garments, so you get an idea of what my year was like and the patterns that I followed through the year. After the Cumulus blouse, I decided to do the Sophie shawl because everyone was knitting the Sophie shawl. Oh my god, I'm so influenced by everybody else's projects, because when you see it on Instagram and you see it on Ravelry, it pulls you. Like, the force is so strong. I made the Sophie shawl, and at this point I just wanted something that was kind of easy to knit and to knit while watching shows and stuff like that. This was pretty simple considering all the other ones that I've been knitting. I really like it, and I wear this all the time, honestly, especially when I go to work in the morning, because I tend to have pretty early mornings and it's super cold, no sun or anything like that, so I always wear this. It keeps me really warm. The yarn that I use for this is actually Knit Pick yarn, and this was my first time using anything from Knit Picks, and it is the Upcycle Alpaca blend. I was watching a lot of people talk about yarn, and my focus at that point was just to find something not itchy, because the Cumulus blouse was super itchy and I just really wanted yarn that I would not be sensitive to and I could just wear without a protective layer. And I decided to try something alpaca because people tend to say alpaca is very soft. So I did buy the yarn from Knit Picks. I even have the ball of yarn here. It is in the color Sage. Really pretty. I love this color. I really tend to like greens, purples, grays, beige. I mean, it's all right here. Like, I don't even need to mention this. So I bought this yarn because I thought that it wouldn't be itchy and that it would be soft, but I'm gonna be honest with you guys, it's really itchy. Like, even when I wear it to work against my neck feels really irritated. Oh my god, I don't even know. I don't like it, but I still wear it. Don't get me wrong. I wear it when I wear a turtleneck and it protects my neck, or I would choose to wear it around like an actual shawl instead of a scarf, so that works too. This is very versatile, so I don't really have an issue with it, even though it is a tiny bit itchy, which sucks. It's okay. It's okay. I really like the scarf and I wear this all the time. Actually, all my knits I wear all the time, which I'm so surprised that I can make things that I can use. That's so crazy to me, and I'm very proud of myself for that. But yeah, this is the Sophie shawl, and I finished this one in May. So there's that. So at that time when I ordered from Knit Picks, I also ordered the same exact yarn but in another color, because the colors that they had for this line was so pretty. This one is called Pistachio. So I bought the Alof and the same one, Upcycle Alpaca blend, but in Pistachio, and the Alof is their Silk Mohair in the color Silver. And I used this pairing to make the Ingrid Slipover. It's gorgeous. And also, I don't know if you can see, a food stuck on it. from when I went to go eat Korean food. I didn't notice this before. I think it'll be easy to come off. I just have to soak it. And of course at this point I wanted something more challenging, and I figured this Ingrid Slipover would be perfect. And this was such a fast knit for what it is because of all the different patterns, so it was really easy for me to convince myself to just get through the next section. When I was knitting this, I thought that it looked really nice until I finished the bottom part, because now I think it's too long and too big. I think you can kind of tell even with me just wearing it like this. At this point, like even up until, when did I finish this? I finished it in June. Even until June, no gauge swatching. Like there's no swatching being done whatsoever, which, you know, rookie mistake, but it's okay. I learned from my mistake because this does not fit me at all. The Cumulus blouse, I didn't gauge swatch, but the difference is I was using the recommended yarn. And I think I tend to knit very close to gauge, and I don't really have a tight knit or anything like that, I think. So whenever I follow the yarn that they recommend, I never have issues. But this is a yarn that I just decided to pick on my own, and of course it's just, it came out too big. It's not a good fit. I felt really silly wearing it because I tend to like to just wear a long sleeve shirt and then I'll put a slip over it and wear some jeans. But this just doesn't look good when I wear it because it just looks so big and silly. It's not even a cute oversized look anymore. Oh, and I did German short rows. Also my first time doing German short rows, and a first time of mine doing folded collars. And I love the folded collar look. It looks so pretty. So my mom saw it and she was like, oh, it looks so pretty, like, can you make me one? And then I was thinking, well, it doesn't fit me anyway, do you want it? So she took it for a month and she started wearing it, and then she gave it back. She's like, I think it's too large for me too, can you just make me a new one? So I decided to take it back, and yeah, now I'm going to knit one for her too. The yarn I used, of course, is the Upcycle Alpaca blend and the Aloft yarn. So this is the pairing and these are the yarns. I love this project nonetheless. It's just not my size, but it's okay. Actually, I do wear this sometimes with a huge baggy sweatshirt underneath, and then I wear this over the sweatshirt, so it's like a really nice chunky look. That's the only way I wear it. I don't know how else to style it, to be very honest with you, so it'd be great if anybody has any tips or suggestions on that. But yeah, this is my Ingrid Slipover. I forgot to mention, but between the time I was doing the Sophie shawl and the Ingrid Slipover, I think I was really into like cables for some reason, which is weird because it was springtime. But I started this project called the Pea Cardigan, which you're gonna see, it's right here. I started it in April, actually April 30th. I have like a little Excel here with all my details, so that's why I'm looking. But I started the Pea Cardigan. I didn't even separate for the sleeves yet, and I kind of just took a pause. Why? Because it was too complicated for me. It's too difficult. Like, at this point I've only knit like 3 things, and I was trying to do cabling. The thing with me is I tend to have very unrealistic ideas of what I can do, and I'll be like a completely new knitter and I'll be like, yeah, I can totally do cabling. So then I'll take on a project like that and realize that I can't do cabling just yet, and then put it away for a couple of months. So that's exactly what I did. Started this project in April, but I didn't finish it until like December. I finished it a week or 2 ago. You guys will see this at the end of the video, but yeah, just letting you know that I definitely casted this on in April and I just put it away, then started on the Ingrid Slipover. After doing the Slipover, I wanted to do something else by Petite Knit. I really wanted a cardigan because I went to this yarn shop called Lovely Knitting here in the GTA, and they have so much yarn. It's like, it's insane. It's actually yarn heaven. And I was kind of just browsing and I found this beautiful hand-dyed yarn. I saw it and I fell in love with this right away. I bought a few hanks of it and I was really worried that I didn't buy enough this time because I was so worried that I didn't have enough yarn, and the the yarn that they suggest in the pattern was pretty different from this one right here. So I was kind of worried that I wouldn't meet gauge, and guys, I gauge swatched. Look at this! This cardigan is completely done with brioche stitch, and I did actually gauge swatch to just double check that my yarn would meet swatch and that I would like the look of it. So I think I was a little bit off gauge, a little bit smaller, and as a beginner, a rookie, somebody with no experience at all, I was like, that's fine, don't worry, it'll be okay. Like, you know, it'll be fine. And I made it. It's a tiny bit too small. It fits, don't get me wrong, it fits. But I wish it was a little bit larger. I wish I made a medium. But then my problem was I was worried that I didn't have enough yarn for medium. But yeah, it fits. It's just not the way I want it to look. It doesn't have that oversized look that I was looking for. I did block it to force it to be a little bit larger. I both wet block it, and then afterwards I steam blocked certain areas to try to stretch it, and it kind of worked actually. But I think it's, yeah, it was a learning experience, guys. But I must say, this yarn is absolutely beautiful. I don't even know, oh my god, this is like my favorite yarn ever. Look how beautiful that looks. Gorgeous. I just wish I knitted a medium because I had this much yarn left and I feel like it would have been enough to upsize to a medium. And at this point, it's just, you know, I'm too far in. Like, I'm not gonna frog this and make a medium. I'm just gonna accept my loss. This was my first time knitting a cardigan and doing buttonholes and stuff like that. So knitting the buttonholes is very fun. I've always wondered how you do double knitted buttonholes. This was such a great experience for me. I also knit on buttons for the first time. These buttons I found, where did I find these? I found them at Fabricland, and I think they're pretty fitting for this. So yeah, very happy. I also wear this all the time. I would say this fabric I can actually wear against my skin and it will be itchy maybe for like 10 minutes and then you don't remember it. It's kind of like the Mohair, but the time it takes for you to get used to this material is a lot shorter than the Mohair. So I can actually handle this kind of itch. But yeah, I love this cardigan. I wear it to work. I think it looks so nice. My only thing is, wish it was bigger. This is the Agnete cardigan. I think I might want to make this again, but in the yarn that they suggest. But the reason I didn't want to do that was because there's Mohair and you know, it's not my favorite thing, so yeah. After that, I wanted to make the Levitate wrap because while I was knitting all of this, I always knew that I wanted to knit a wrap, but none of the patterns kind of spoke to me until I saw my favorite things Knitwear come up with their Levitate wrap, and super excited. I wanted to make it right away when I saw the pattern. I followed the yarn suggestion exactly this time because I didn't want to go through this issue again, so I just bought the yarn that they suggest. They're both the E-Sidger. I'm sorry if I say it wrong. One is the EcoSoft and the other one is the Trio yarn. So this one right here, the EcoSoft, is 56% alpaca and 44% organic cotton. And then the other one right here, the Trio yarn, is, I guess you can see the makeup right here. Yeah, this one's really thin. But yeah, my first time working with this brand and I quite like it. If you're gonna ask me if it's itchy, I'm gonna tell you it is very itchy. Like, I cannot wear this against my skin directly. I think it would take some time for me to get used to it, but it'll be like the Cumulus blouse, you know? Like, eventually at the end of the day I won't feel it, but in the beginning it's gonna be torturous. I love the drape of this. Like, I love the way it fits on me. Again, I made a small. I always make a small whenever it's Petite Knit and my favorite things Knitwear. The small usually fits me perfectly. When it's extra small, I feel like it might fit a little bit tight, and I tend to like to wear things that are looser and more cozy, so that's why I like to make a small. I have no complaints with this. Like, honestly, it's beautiful. It looks so good. It's all stock knit stitch. And it was my first time making ribbons, which is basically just kind of like double knitting, to be honest with you. Oh, and this is closed with not just the ribbon that I've knit here, but also 2 snap closures. So I bought these snap closures from Amazon because Amazon has the like buy I don't know however many but for super cheap. Like if I were to buy it from Fabricland, it would have been the same price but only for 3. But I think Amazon would give you like 15 or 20. So I just bought a lot because I know eventually I would use it again. But yeah, there are snap closures here on 2 ends like this, and I just I sewed them on and then used it to make this wrap. I have no complaints. Why do I want to wear this? Like, I'm looking at this and it looks so cozy. I just want to put it on. I love this pattern. It looks really pretty. This is the same color as the one that they have as a picture on their pattern. So easy to wear. I don't know why I saw this and I just wanted to put it on because it's just so cozy. It has such a strong pull. I love this. And in my vlog, like my previous video, the vlog, I was actually blocking this on the mat. It took about 3 days to dry just because it's such a thick material. Oh, and the neck cardigan took like 3 days to dry too because these two are so thick that the yarn just never dries. I don't know why. Everything else dried really quickly though, like the slipover dried maybe in a day or 2. But yeah, this is what it looks like. I love it. It's very cropped as you can see, but I kind of like this look because I can still wear an undershirt and tuck in my undershirt so I don't feel too breezy. This crop I think can look pretty stylish, especially with high-waisted pants, so I have no complaints. I love it so much. I'm just gonna wear this for the rest of the video because it just feels so nice. It's so cozy and soft. I finished this wrap on October 23rd, which is funny because that's one day before my previous vlog that I made, because I vlogged on October 24th and I finished this on the 23rd. Beautiful. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I have no complaints honestly with the pattern. I didn't make any changes, no deviations to the pattern. I just made it exactly as is, and I think size small fits me perfectly. I love this look and I wear it to work. I know it's a little bit too cozy for work, but I think it can work for the winter time. You could wear this with a dress pant, like pair of dress pants underneath, and you could still make it work, I think. Especially because my office is kind of business casual, so I can kind of just wear something more cozy and get away with it. And also this keeps me super warm, especially in the cold winter mornings. So I'm very grateful for this pattern. I love it so much. And now let's talk about my last finished object. It is the Pea Cardigan. So the Pea Cardigan is something that I started back in April. Let me just double check. Yeah, I started this back in April, but I didn't finish it until December because it's a cable knit cardigan. Like my very first time doing cable knit. I am in love with this project. Okay, let me start with the yarn that I used. I knit this with Heavy Merino by Knitting from Olive. My first time knitting with this. And here it is, Heavy Merino. The color is Nordic Beach. So when I bought this yarn, I think back in March or April, Unit from Toronto was doing a 20% off sale or something like that, so I just stocked up on the yarn. And I wanted something like off-white color because I was super into like that beige tone at that time. I wanted something not so yellow, and I bought it. I think I bought about 8 or 9 balls of it. It's a little bit more yellow than I would have liked, but nonetheless it still looks gorgeous. Before this, I've never used Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino, and I didn't know how it would feel against my body because I've bought some of the Knitting for Olive merino yarns and they felt very soft and nice. Like I didn't think that they were itchy, so I wasn't sure how the Heavy Merino would be, and I was hopeful that it would be somewhat the same. But can I just tell you how itchy this is? Like I cannot, there's no way I can wear this against my skin. Like nope. The Mohair I can kind of eventually get used to. This, no way. I will not be able to wear this against my skin. I can wear this with an undershirt and that's fine. This is definitely an oversized granny sweater kind of style, which is exactly what I was going for. But let me just show you guys the cabling and how beautiful it is. Gorgeous, gorgeous. This is my first time doing any type of cabling, and I think it turned out very well, like one of my favorite knits. My boyfriend was telling me though when I first made it, finished it, he said I looked like a pickle wearing it, but after I blocked it, everything, you know, kind of evened out, and he thinks it looks really good now. The buttons for this I bought from Trillium Buttons from a store in Toronto by Trinity Bellwoods, and I think they look perfect. They were about $2 each. That store has like a billion buttons that you can choose from, and yeah, I think it's a perfect fit. I had experience with doing buttons before because of the Agnete cardigan, so this wasn't too hard for me. However, I think the first time I sewed it too close to the edge, so I had to redo it. So it took me a few times to sew on the buttons. But it's okay. The first time I blocked this, I blocked it to the dimensions on the pattern, but it was way too large. So I had to reblock it and make it smaller. One thing I learned from blocking this is you should not block things while the buttons are in. You should block it unbuttoned so that you don't get this weird stretch along the side of your button and the placket. That was a learning experience for me, so going forward I will never block anything buttoned again, especially if I'm gonna stretch it. The first time I blocked it, it was way too large, so I reblocked it and it's perfect. I love the look of this. I'm so proud of my first cable knit sweater. I think it looks great, it fits well, and I mean, the only complaint I have is it's super itchy, so I would probably do another yarn next time. But other than that, like, I love this so much. I finished this December 2nd, so I've only worn it once so far. It's like December 16th today. One of my favorite makes, and it's perfect, just in time for Christmas. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. This is all that I knit in 2023. I'm so happy that you joined me in this journey. I hope to knit more in 2024 and share more of my projects with you. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. Bye!